Jesus has died. Jesus has died, but they've heard that he is back, the apostles. They've heard that he's back, but they haven't seen him. Okay? So this is on the evening of that day, the first day of the week, the doors being locked where the disciples were for fear of the Jews. The disciples are hiding in a room upstairs locked because of fear of the Jews. And that's understandable. The Jews are coming for them. Okay? And Jesus came and stood in their midst. Now, an interesting passage a few minutes later. 8 days later, it says, his disciples were again in the house. The doors were locked, but Jesus again came and stood among them. Holy Spirit down upon the apostles at Pentecost. That's what confirmation is. It's the Holy Spirit coming down upon you completely and fully. That's what happens at Pentecost. When the day of Pentecost had come, they were together in one place. The apostles, where do you think that place is? Where's the one place where the apostles are hanging out? Yes. In a locked room. The same room. They're still afraid. And suddenly a sound came from heaven like the rush of a mighty wind, and it filled all the house where they were sitting. And there appeared tongues of fire resting on each of them, and they were all filled with the Holy Spirit and began to speak in other tongues. The point is this. Those same guys that had been hiding for a couple of weeks in the room with the door locked, immediately following the coming down upon them of the Holy Spirit, I want you to hear what they do. They go. Peter leading the way. They leave the locked room and they go to the temple. They're going to the home base of the people they had been hiding from for 2 weeks. Peter gets up and gives a speech on the steps of the temple. He says this, "Men of Israel, why do you wonder at this, or why do you stare at us? The God of Abraham and of Isaac and of Jacob, the God of our fathers, glorified his servant Jesus." Why are the Jews trying to kill the apostles? Because the apostles are going to talk about Jesus. The apostles go to their home base and start talking about Jesus. "Whom you delivered up and denied in the presence of Pilate when he had decided to release him. You denied the holy and righteous one and asked for a murderer to be granted to you, and killed the author of life, whom God raised from the dead. To this we are witnesses." Why are the Jews trying to kill them? Because they're witnesses. Now they're standing in front of everyone and saying, "We're witnesses. Come and get me." He says this. He goes on. Not only does he admit to everything that they're trying to kill them for, he says this, "And now, brethren, I know that you acted in ignorance." If anyone told you that you had acted in ignorance, would you really take that as like, "Oh, thanks. Look, I know what you did was stupid." "Oh, okay, good, thank you." No, you're going to be mad. Confirmation is the sacrament that does that for you. It makes you, whether or not you want to be, whether or not you, no matter what your thought is, it somehow helps you become what we believe in the Catholic Church is a soldier for Christ. The reason you get oil on your forehead is because in the ancient church, the soldiers would become soldiers by, guess what? Putting oil on the forehead. Soldier. Everybody in the ancient church that would have seen that would have seen a confirmation ritual would be like, "Oh, soldier." What is the oil that you get on your head at confirmation? What is the sacrament? It is the grace of the Holy Spirit that will turn you from someone who hides from your faith in a room with a door locked, terrified that someone might know you're Catholic outside of Mass, to somebody who is actually comfortable going to people, or at least saying, "Yeah, hey, I'm Catholic. I'm not, yeah, that's me actually. Ha ha, funny, we're making fun of the church or whatever. The church is teaching on this or that. But yeah, that's me actually. That's what I believe. Sure, I'll pray. I'll say a prayer. I'm not afraid of that. Oh, hey, I'm sorry, you guys mind if I'm just going to say a quick prayer here before we eat. You guys go ahead, whatever. Do you do that in the lunchroom at Brownsburg or Avon or Ritter? Do you say a prayer at Ritter before you eat? The little things, those are the things that make the difference. Confirmation helps prepare you to become a soldier. It helps transform you into somebody from someone who hid upstairs in that locker room like the apostles, the Holy Spirit will come upon you at confirmation. A little bit of oil on your forehead is a symbol of that. And it will give you the grace that you need to live more fully your faith. But again, you have to cooperate with it too. I want you to understand or have the chance to think before you get into this, before you actually get confirmed. Do you want a part of this? Well, I had a video a couple of weeks ago that went somewhat viral. And I printed off, I checked this afternoon, there are 3,000 comments on there. About half and half. Good and bad. And I printed off the 5 comments that I could find that have the F word in them. Your parents chose, why can't you let all women choose like your mother did, you effing bigot? And who the F would want to have sex with a kid? Seriously, WTF, priests. F you, F your God, F your followers, separation of church and state, you only wish you had a say. Even if I was accepted into heaven, I would have to decline, knowing that I would have to spend eternity with you effing people. I would rather hang with Marilyn Manson anyways. No, men don't have a say since it's not their body. You have no say, especially religious effers like him. You people need to mind your own business. And it's not because I'm special. You are going to be hated for your faith if you live it. If you live it. You will get this. It may not be because of a video that you make, but you will encounter this, and if you're not encountering this, then you're not living your faith. This is what waits you every day if you live your faith. Okay? This waits you. And I don't care where you go to school. I don't care what you do with your life. I don't care if you become a priest or if you don't. If you get married or not, have kids or not, it doesn't matter. My mom and dad had kids, 11 of them. Everywhere we went growing up. What's going on? Don't you know how that happens? Don't you know you can plan your kids? My mom and dad got made fun of all the time for having kids, for living their faith. If you live your faith, especially now, you probably don't know a whole lot about what's going on right now. Maybe you do, I don't know. Following what's going on with the president and Planned Parenthood and the Catholic faith and all that good stuff, you will be hated if you live your faith. Christ promised you. He says, if you do what I say, you'll be hated. You'll be hated. He didn't say maybe. He said you would be. And the reason I'm saying that is because a soldier says bring it on. But I don't mean obviously I'm not saying that there's going to be a physical fight. Jesus says, that I'm not talking about fighting people. That's what some people on the YouTube were like, oh, I thought you were a holy priest. You're going to go out and punch people? No, I'm not talking about physical fighting. But I'm talking, are you ready to defend your faith and defend what you believe in? Does it matter that much to you? Because I'll tell you, when I go around and I encounter the Catholics throughout, obviously not just St. Malachy, not even just the Archdiocese, I can guarantee you, if there was any sort of persecution that were to break out amongst Catholics, against Catholics, there would be a ton of people who would say, gone. I'm not Catholic. Just kidding. Let's say a persecution tomorrow breaks out and your life is on the line for your faith. Does it matter that much to you? The point of it is this. Your faith actually leads to freedom. It leads to freedom. The people that I deal with and I talk to in the confessional, they're not happier because of the sins that they commit. They are imprisoned by them. The Catholic faith leads to happiness. Do you believe that? Or do you think that that's something that's forced upon you by other people? Ask yourself, make sure before you get confirmed that you're ready for this. That you're ready for this. And that it's not going to be something that bothers you. If you're not ready for this, that's all right. Just be honest and say that, and don't get confirmed yet. Go talk to us or whatever. or get confirmed and know that you may not be ready for this, but that you trust that God will give you the words that it takes when you're in front of people to speak. That He will help you encounter these things. It's not me that's outdoing the fighting. It's not my own strength that lets me deal with this. It's God giving me that through the continual confirmation, the continual gift of the Holy Spirit. When I look back on my life after confirmation, I recognize that although it wasn't instant, I slowly have stepped into that grace of the Holy Spirit. That idea that I am in fact a soldier for Christ, and I have become more and more that as I have gotten older, and I've started to live my confirmation more fully.